हाँ बता दो। हेलो हेलो हेलो। हो जाएगा। ठीक ठीक है।
Good afternoon, student. Today we'll explain you what is mechatronics engineering, what is the future scope in electronic mechatronics engineering, how it is different from electronics engineering, how it is different from mechanical engineering. So in next 45 minutes we'll try to understand, we'll try to explore mechatronics engineering. You have played enough with toys now. It's time to build some of them. So you have seen so many movies like Terminator, Transformer, where high-end robotics are used. So this is nothing but future of our mechatronics engineering. Since you have played so many things, so many toys in your childhood days, now it's time to build some of them. If you see this, we are going to discuss, we are going to have an introduction about mechatronics engineering, some different application of mechatronics engineering. We'll consider some integration system where you can see exactly mechatronics system works. Then we'll try to focus how why to choose mechatronics engineering and what are resources we have at our university campus. We'll try to explore that in coming 45 minutes. Now the question will come, what is mechatronics engineering? So mechatronics engineering is nothing but a application, or it is a domain of mechanical engineering. It is a combination of mechanical engineering, electronics engineering, computer science engineering, some control related engineering. So it is a combination of that. If you see this particular slide, this mechatronics is nothing but a combination of electronic system, computers, mechanical system, control system. So these are the fundamental component, or these are the fundamental thing we we have to understand whenever we are designing a mechatronic system. If you see this diagram, this mechatronics engineering is involved in almost every domain. Here, every domain is nothing but, if you are considering aerospace engineering, or if you are considering aerospace industry, where we are using automotive, where we are using mechatronics in, concept. If I am considering automobile, in current days our entire automobile are controlled through some electronics fundamental. It is controlled through a high-end software technology. So we have to explore, or we have to understand a multidisciplinary type of concept. If I want to explore multidisciplinary domain understanding, we have a best option called mechatronics engineering. Now, I will explain what are the different application of mechatronics engineering. So one of the application is called engineering tools. If you understand engineering tools is nothing but, we are nowadays we are using some drilling machine. So drilling machine is a combination of electrical device and some electrical device and controlled through some mechanical structure. So that is a tool we are using in that type of tool we called as mechatronics tool. So our domain application lies in engineering tools. Similarly, we have space exploration. If earlier time, with help of some telescope we are monitoring space activities, but nowadays it is not like that. We have a high-end robot, we are placing that robot in space, and that particular robot gives some vital information to our head office or to our base location. So space exploration is another application of mechatronics engineering. Third is consumer electronics. Nowadays, whatever devices you are seeing, like laptop, how you are seeing all this webinar, either through some laptop or through some iPad and all. So that is part of consumer electronics. So we have some cameras, we have some mobile phone. So that is a application, that is a devices comes under consumer electronics, where mechatronics people or mechatronics engineer are mostly required. The most important application now is industrial automation. Now every industry nowadays are moving towards automation. Reason, there is various reason. Maybe manpower requirement, maybe product demand is very high. So whenever you have product demand requirement is very high, one of the best possible way to achieve is go through some automation. So if I'm considering industrial automation, so any industry, if I'm talking about Maruti industry, in Indian scenario, Maruti is producing 1 lakh vehicle in a month. Is it possible to achieve with human power, with manpower? No. If I want to achieve 1 lakh product in a month, we require a million of people, or we require so many people to achieve that particular target. So ultimately automation gives answer, and with help of automation we achieve that. Next, transportation industry. Nowadays we have electronic equipped vehicle. If you are considering any vehicle, if you are considering Maruti vehicle called Swift, so Swift nowadays are Few system in Swift are nowadays electronically controlled. If I guess you have heard, there is a concept called power window, there is a concept called automatic climate control in a vehicle. So how it is possible? Because of some mechanical understanding, because of some electronics and computer science helps in that, with help of some set of programming, we achieve those targets. So transportation industries is also one of the application of mechatronics engineering. Next is sports industry. Nowadays, everyone are fitness freak. So everyone nowadays, they have a different devices. Like suppose they want to measure blood level, blood sugar level, they want to measure pulse rate. No need to go to some laboratory, external laboratory. We have some module, we have some system. People buy that system and they used to continuously monitor his health parameter, some health vital parameter. So sports industry, medical industry plays a vital role in sports and medical industry gives a introduction or gives a benefit to the consumer. Consumer here is nothing but our general people. So sports industry, if I'm talking about some treadmill, we have treadmill is a combination of some mechanical system, some electronic system where you can set some threshold speed with help of some push buttons, some switches, some potentiometer, and with help of that you can raise the level of that. So these are some various application where we are using that comes under mechatronics engineering. Then the next one is called robotics. Robotics now I guess every students are aware what is robotics. So remember, robotics is a combination of mechanical system. It either it must be a toy, it must be a humanoid. So in if you are considering any robotic system, that robotic system having various actuators, various sensing element controlled through some controller. So that comes under mechatronics domain. The next one is called defense industry. If you are saying modern, if I'm talking about modern aircraft, modern tank system that is equipped with some high-end sensors, high-end actuator, and it serves our purpose in much efficient manner. The next one is aerospace and avionics industry. Nowadays, our aerospace is moving very fastly towards instrumentation side, towards electronic side. Reason, we want more comfort, we want less, we want more efficient aircraft. So if I want to achieve more efficiency, our only mechanical system will not serve that purpose. We require some other domain help. So electronics and mechanical system gives that particular service in much efficient manner, and that's it our application with respect to automotive, with respect to mechatronics. Now we have seen various tools. Now we'll explore what are other tools comes under that application of mechatronics. We have seen is engineering tools. So what are the various tools? If I am seeing motor, motor is a perfect combination of electrical system as well as a mechanical system. So if I am talking about motor, motor is a best example of mechatronics, and that comes under engineering tools. Now another one is development board. Nowadays whatever devices you are seeing, either some mobile phone, some washing machine, some refrigerator, some high-end toys, so that is equipped with some of the controller, some of the development board. In that development board we give some input, and with help of these development board it controls something. So these are some of the fundamental tools. The next one is called valve. I guess everyone are aware with this. Earlier time, what we are doing, we have a valve control through mechanical plunger or mechanical lever. Nowadays, it is not like that. If I am talking about some industry oriented thing, or even household application, we does not want some lever type of movement. We does not want that mechanical only mechanical based devices. If it is a only mechanical based device, I need a dedicated person who has to turn on turn off every time. But if it is a electronics based system, very easily with help of some appropriate controller, with help of some timing related circuit, with help of some timing related ICs, very easily we can control the timing when it has to open, when it has to close. So valve is also nowadays equipped with electronics. So the next one is called power supply. Nowadays, as you are aware, even of whatever wristwatch we are using, it is a digital one. It is equipped with some source. So that source is DC source. Now, whenever I am talking about some high-end application where current requirement is high, so that time those small cell will not serve purpose. So we have a power supply unit. We require a power supply to deliver the desired power to the load. So this is one of the fundamental mechatronics tool. The last one what we are presenting in this engineering tool is nothing but drilling machine. So drilling machine, as I already discussed, it is a combination of mechanical and electronics. It is equipped with some motor, maybe some AC motor or DC motor, and ultimately the shaft of that DC motor, through that particular shaft a screw or a mechanical linkage is there that will rotate whenever will turn on this drilling machine. The next application is space exploration. As I discussed in previous slides, our mechatronics plays a vital role in space exploration. If I want to measure some fundamental parameters, if I want to understand whether some vital information, if I want to capture some vital information in another space or in space, so what we require? We require some roboting, some structure equipped with some different sensors, equipped with some actuator, and that actuator must communicate with our main service station. So if I'm considering this, I require some mechanical system, I require some communication that to verify very far, because if I'm talking about space technology, so here distance is in thousands of kilometer. It is not 1 meter, 2 meter, kilometer. That distance must be thousands of kilometer. How it is possible? So we have to explore what are the various ways through which we are communicating in space. So space, if overall if I'm talking about space exploration, we have to have a solid understanding of mechanical system, solid understanding of some communication system, solid understanding of some electronic system, and mechatronics serves our purpose. Now, next we'll see consumer electronics. As we are aware, consumer electronics is nothing but whatever we are seeing in day-to-day activities. Some wristwatch, some 3D related virtual reality if I'm seeing. Remember, these are equipped with some electronic circuit, some controller is there who controls that, and ultimately controller requires some input. That input may be through some switches, that input may be through some push button switches, some sensory data, some communication through another port. So various information I require whenever I want to develop. So these are the few application where you can correlate exactly what you are going to study in the next 4 years. These are the outcome of that particular study, and these are very fine devices which is available nowadays in our market. So similarly, some television, some music system. Nowadays, our music system is also equipped with some very high end amplifier, very high end some amplifier circuit is there, some controller circuit is there, and that serves our purpose. Now, the next application is industrial automation. If I'm talking about industrial automation, so every industry nowadays are moving towards automation side. Reason, they their outcome, their quantity wise, they have to produce a lot. As I said, if I'm considering any food beverages related industry, food industry, their lacks of output, lacks of bottle or lacks of their packed food they have to produce on daily basis. If that is our requirement, we cannot achieve with normal human power. And especially in food industry, contamination is a vital parameter. If I'm using everything with help of manpower, there is a possibility that our food product will not last that much, because our human hand and all are consist of so many bacteria and all. So now what automation industry do is it serves that purpose with help of some high-end devices like actuators. Actuator maybe some servo motor, some DC motor, some pneumatic actuator, some hydraulic actuator. With help of various actuator, we can serve our purpose, we can automate our industry. So in this particular slide, what you are seeing, automation in food industry, and that too for filling purpose. So nowadays, our, say if I'm considering a Pepsi related beverages, so Pepsi is giving product of 300 ml quantity, of 1 liter quantity, of 2 liter quantity. Now if I want to fill this, so every time I should know, at this instant I have to fill 300 ml, at this instant I have to fill 1 liter, at this instant I have to fill 2 liter. So ultimately, if I have a very good controller, closed loop controller, with help of that very easily we can achieve. The next one is food dispensing machine. Nowadays I guess you are aware, various states are nowadays adopting some automated type of machine which will dispense different food to your plate, and ultimately this food either they are sending, they are giving to the customer, or they are transporting to some different nodal agencies. So whenever we want to prepare in a bulk quantity, automation plays a vital role. Similarly, the third case is example of thermal power plant. If I am seeing this thermal, if I am considering this thermal power plant, thermal power plant is nowadays entire process are controlled through some high-end PLC. There is a technology called programmable logic control. With help of that PLC, nowadays entire plant are controlled. So you can understand how fast that particular device is, how much efficient that device is. So we'll try to explore, these are the some fundamental, and in course we'll try to explore how that controller looks like, how to program them, how to use them for our particular application. So these are the few application through which you can correlate what exactly you are going to learn in your mechatronics course. Now, these are again some of the application. If I'm talking about some storage system, so you can see this Pepsi, since Pepsi is producing lakhs of unit in a daily basis. Even I can say that in an hourly basis. So it is it is almost impossible to store to the desired location. So if I have a automated system, if that particular industry follows some automation, very easily we can achieve that. If you see this particular, the first figure, so the first figure consists of some conveyor which is controlled through some DC motor or some AC motor. So whenever that motor will run, this conveyor will move automatically. And if someone, either through some robot or through some manpower, if somebody keeps in that, automatically this particular packet of cold drinks will move to the desired location. So this is the beauty of automation. The next one is called building robot. Nowadays, so many government agencies is very stringent regarding employment, health, employment, providing to the ambient environment. And if someone has to work closer to this, it is, if I'm talking about building robot application, if someone has to work closer with this, it is impossible for him to work for 8 or 10 or 12 hours. Reason that spark plug will give, ultimately, if I'm talking about welding application is achieved through some high voltage. So whenever we are giving high voltage to the spark plug, this type of spark we are generating or we are getting. So whenever we are getting a spark, it is impossible to stand nearby to that. So that we cannot achieve ideally with help of manpower. But if I have a robot, welding robot, very easily we can serve our purpose. It is very simple, and that too we can work for 24 hours, provided if I am following a proper maintenance condition of that particular robot. Now the last one is pick and place robot. So nowadays, if I'm talking about some food beverages industry or some any other consumer goods related industry, now if I want to pick one of the object from one place, and if I want to place to another, if I want to place that particular object to another place, we have a pick and place type of robot. So very easily, uh, that type of objectivity is achieved we have if we have a automation technology. And ultimately, entire thing what you are seeing in this particular slide, almost you are going to learn all the fundamental behind how to build all those things and the fundamental behind that in your mechatronics course. The next application is in say transport industry. Now I guess everyone are aware, if I'm talking about any vehicle, whenever any obstacle comes in front of our vehicle has to stop. If vehicle has to stop, what is the braking mechanism? So there is a modern braking mechanism called ABS. ABS stands for anti-lock braking system. So if I'm talking about ABS braking system, so see, I will share one thing. Generally, what happened with our older car? Whenever you apply a sudden brake, what will happen? Your tire will skid, and there is a possibility that you may hit to some other vehicle, or you may fall down. How it is happening? It is happening because what you did, you have applied a sudden braking, and because of sudden braking your wheels got locked. Whenever your wheels got locked, so there is a possibility that your vehicle will skid. Now how this mechatronics world or transport industry is managing this world? So what they did, they have installed a different sensor to all the wheels, and they are not applying force in one go. They are applying force in a distributed manner. And how I can say distributed manner? So we have here a valve which is controlled through some electronics, solenoid valve called solenoid valve. So whenever we'll give pulse to the solenoid valve will open, and whenever valve will open, it will apply force to the wheel. Now in next millisecond, what we are doing, we are closing that, we are not giving any current to the solenoid. So what it is happening, the valve got blocked. Now valve is not acting. Again after millisecond will energize that. So solenoid, whenever solenoid will energize, again valve will open, and again force will exert on the vehicle. So like that we are doing, and with that we are achieving a very good braking, and that type of brake we called as a ABS. Now the next, the first slide what you are seeing here is nothing but engine control component. Remember, in modern car nowadays, every car is equipped with some sensor. Every car having not only one sensor, I can say hundreds of sensors nowadays are there in every car. What is the objectivity of that sensor? So that sensor sense what is the speed of the vehicle. That sensor sense what is the atmospheric temperature of the atmospheric temperature. Why atmospheric temperature is required? So as you are aware, vehicle is moving, we have vehicle in India as well as we have vehicle in European countries. And if I am talking about current environmental condition, so in India atmospheric temperature is from 15 degree to 15 degree onwards, 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. But if I am talking about European countries, atmospheric temperature, their temperature is minus 30 degrees Celsius, minus 40 degrees Celsius. Now, if the same vehicle, if I'm keeping, if I'm using the same vehicle at two different places, we have to understand what is the atmospheric temperature, and accordingly we'll inject some air fuel to the engine such that I should get a desired power. So if I want to understand any engine, we require so many vital information like vehicle speed, wheel speed, how much accelerator pedal you are pressing. What is accelerator pedal? Here is nothing but, say if you are driving your vehicle to a hilly areas, that time you require more acceleration to achieve, or ultimately why you are pressing more acceleration? Because you require more torque to get that desired speed such that you can climb to that particular hill. Now whenever you are pressing that accelerator pedal, so if I have a sensor who senses or who captures these information, very easily we can transfer, or very easily we can send these all these information to the ECU, and the ECU will appropriately control our engine. So these are few fundamental where automotive where mechatronics plays a vital role. The last figure what you are seeing is a one model by Volkswagen. There is a model called Pathan, and if I am talking about this model, ultimately this is a vehicle. But if you see this specification, they have 11,000 electrical electronics part. They have 61 ECUs in total. So imagine, ultimately that is a mechanical system controlled through electronics. So mechatronics gives a best answer to this industry. Reason, they are studying electronics, they are studying mechatronics, mechanical, they are studying some computer science related programming skill. So they are building a multidisciplinary fundamental, and ultimately this fundamental is required in almost all industry. The next one is medical industry. So if I'm talking about medical industry, remember in the beginning slide also I told you we have so many machineries, or we have so many devices. If you are going to any hospital, you can see various monitoring system are available. We have some displaying device. That displaying device will give a vital information like pulse rate, some oxygen content, etc., and they will display continuously on the screen. So if I am talking about this, so ultimately if I want to develop this, I need some fundamental, and these fundamental very easily we can get, and ultimately these are part of some mechatronic system. Similarly, treadmill. If I am talking about treadmill, I guess since you guys are aware who is uh, uh, I guess in almost all major cities, various gyms are there, and mostly they are placing this type of equipment in their gym. And if you see this, this is nothing but a perfect combination of some mechanical and electronic system. Similarly, we have some heartbeat monitoring system, oxygen level monitoring system, glucometer. So various different equipment nowadays are available. So remember, entire medical industries are now moving towards electronics. Moving, they have a very good system, but system efficiency they want to improve. System performance they want to measure a they want to measure a minute change in human being. So ultimately if they want to measure this type of minute changes, we the only option we have is with help of some electronics devices, some sensors and all. And if we have a fair knowledge how to develop all this thing, very easily we can build all this thing in our for any of the industry. Now we have seen various application. Now we'll try to correlate how these applications are developed. So we'll not consider all those applications. We'll try to focus one or two application. So since you guys have completed your 10th, now you are going to complete your 12th. So you understand almost in every house we have a very good electronic device or some a device called washing machine. I guess everyone must have seen this. Now, if I'm talking about washing machine, so this washing machine, if you have seen, this washing machine consists of some displaying device. We have a physical structure and in that we have some uh, storage element. Internal, if you see, ultimately we have some mechanical device called compressor who builds some appropriate pressure. So various system are available and ultimately whenever you're putting some cloth in the washing machine, it will run. So how the best way to run any device is use motor, and with help of proper gear arrangement you can convert that motor speed according to your required speed. So every washing machine is nowadays equipped every washing machine required some data. That data may be through some sensors, through some push button switches, and ultimately it is having some actuator here is nothing but motor. So motor will run whenever will give appropriate command to that. So if you see the bigger picture circuit diagram of that, so this any microcontroller, any washing machine what you are seeing in your house nowadays, every washing machine are controlled through some controller. Controller is nothing but some with help of some appropriate development board, with help of microcontroller microprocessor, we can develop this type of application. Now in this case what you are seeing, we are feeding input either through some switches. We want to run for 15 minutes 20 minutes, so we will set timing and all. So all these information goes to microcontroller. Here microcontroller what you are seeing is called MCU, microcontroller unit. That microcontroller unit, remember, microcontroller unit will give command to the motor as well as it will give information to the displaying device. Now if I'm giving to the displaying device, again displaying device power requirement is very less. So we does not, whenever I'm giving my some of the vital information to displaying device, I need not worry about some protection related thing. But whenever I'm giving, whenever my microcontroller gives command to the motor, remember whenever motor will run, if motor is running in AC condition or in DC condition, it will generate some back EMF. I guess whenever you will come to the engineering world, that time whenever you will explore the machine part, machinery, whenever you will learn fundamental of electronics or electrical machine, you will come to know how this back EMF generates. So whenever back EMF generated in the motor, there is a possibility that it will try to flow in a different direction. And because of that, there is a possibility that it will harm the microcontroller, and ultimately microcontroller is nothing but your heart of the washing machine. If heart will fail, entire system will fail. So if you see this, after MCU there is a block, and that block is called as protection circuit. And remember, there is no electrical linkage between MCU and motor. There is a optical linkage. So this type of block we called as a optocoupler. So with help of appropriate optocoupler, very easily you can interface a low power device and high power device. We have some device called diode track. This is something like a diode type of device, but remember track works in bidirectional mode. Bidirectional mode in the sense, whenever I want to run whenever I'm feeding some AC input to the devices, that time if I'm using a diode based circuit, that time it will fail because diode is a unidirectional device. So I require a bidirectional device, and one of the answer for this is track circuit or with help of track devices. So this is nothing but one of the fundamental of washing machine, how we can develop a washing machine. So if I want to understand in a crisp manner, so what we have to understand is washing machine ultimately requires a microcontroller. That microcontroller ultimately requires some input maybe through manual switches, maybe through some cover. I guess if your washing machine is automatic washing machine, and if you have not covered your washing machine, the front cover or the central cover, if you have not covered that, that washing machine will not run, because we have programmed in such a way that to give protection to the user. If if we have not made this cover switch as a compulsory one, there is a possibility that by mistake some hand will come in between that, and hand will harm. So that you will get some damage either to the device or some physical damage to you also. So ultimately, in crisp manner, if I want to understand this application, so I require some sensory data, either through sensor here is nothing but, I forget to explain one thing. Remember, nowadays majority of our washing machine require some hot water, cold water. So ultimately, if internally if there is a device who is raising the temperature, remember, so it is making that water hot. So how much hot? So definitely I must have some type of mechanism who will give information to the controller. Here controller is MCU, so who will give to the controller that at the right now temperature is 50 degree internally. So the next target, whenever temperature rises to 50 degrees Celsius, it has to stop. So what it will do, it will internal heater will stop automatically. User should not take care of that. So that type of intelligence we are giving in a washing machine. And how it is possible? With help of some electronic devices, with help of appropriate programming, and ultimately entire machine is nothing but a mechanical system. So if we want to explore all these fundamental, the best engineering domain is mechatronics. The next application, I guess, since if I'm talking about, I guess everyone is using vehicle, and nowadays vehicle is equipped with a concept called power window. What is power window? Whenever user presses a switch, automatically power window will move up or down. Whenever he will press down switch, automatically that window will come down. So how it is achieving? How it is happening? Earlier time it is not like that. We have a crank down. We have a mechanism, rotating type of mechanism. So whenever we'll rotate to that, our vehicle, our power window will move up, and whenever we'll rotate in a reverse manner, it will move down. So that is a mechanical system exist earlier, but people nowadays not at all referring that, because so many times you have to rotate that. So how electronics gives answer to that? We have a typical circuitry. If you see the first diagram, we have a control algorithm, and ultimately that control algorithm input either through driver or through passenger. So if driver give appropriate command, the window will lower down or it will move up. Whenever passenger will give appropriate command, again the same task will happen, that window will move up or down accordingly. Now if I want to develop this type of thing, ultimately what I require some fundamental. I require switching related fundamentals. We have various switches. Various switches here is nothing but some push button switches, some toggle switches. So I guess everyone nowadays, you are also have seen in your household application, we are using a switch. That type of switch we called as a toggle switch. We have another switch which is called push button. That time you have to press with small force, automatically your device will turn on. Especially in industry and all, we are using this type of devices. So if we are using a push button or toggle switch, so you require some switching information. Now in this case, if fire happened internally, automatically fire arises or fire captured in the vehicle. That time, if I have a sensor who senses that, who senses fire and all. So if I'm having those type of feature in that, very easily I can lower down my window. So that we are giving more comfort to the user. So how we can achieve? All these information will give to microcontroller. Microcontroller will internally microcontroller and understand there is a language called machine language, and with help of programming we can generate all these languages. With help of programming we can develop this type of machine code. So machine code will feed to the controller, and ultimately controller will give command to the motor, if, because whenever I'm talking about power window application, on back of that there is a motor. So motor will run and motor will move up or down accordingly. So whenever motor is moving up and down, so we require ultimately all this information we can give through microcontroller, and this information we are feeding to the DC motor, and ultimately DC motor will control a mechanical arrangement which is already exist from the beginning of this window development. So like that we are helping with help of electronics, with help of computer science, to achieve more comfort in a mechanical system. And the best answer to explore all this thing is fundamental of mechatronics. So again, why to choose mechatronics engineering? I guess, do you still need answer? So from student side you may ask some of the question after 5-10 minutes. So we whatever resources we have, that I want to explain you in again 5 minutes I will try to wind up. So what are the different resources we have? We have here, there is a lab called Mechatronics lab, where you can see, where you can work with the real system and you can develop one of or any of the application whatever way you have thought in that. We have another lab called Robotics lab, where very high end robotic system are available. So if we are working in this lab, you will explore how to work with some mechanical system, how to program that particular system such that it will serve your purpose. Similarly, we have another lab called Hydraulics and Pneumatics lab, where you can explore more fundamental about hydraulics and pneumatic system. Similarly, we have a lab called PLC, and I told you PLC is nothing but programmable logic control. So this is high-end controller we are adopting in industrial automation application. Similarly, we have some instrumentation and sensorics lab, where we have a cluster of sensors. You can work with almost all type of sensor which is available in industrial domain. So we have all those facility in our laboratory. Similarly, we have a power electronics and drive lab, where you can develop, where you can play with some circuit, power electronic circuit, maybe from 5 ampere, 10 ampere, 230 volt, 430 volt, any type of high voltage, low voltage, high current, low current. If I want to make a circuit, if we want to understand that, the best answer you will get in this particular lab, power electronics and drive lab. Similarly, we have some more laboratory called fluid mechanics, CFD, CAM, engineering workshop. And if you see this is nothing but few of the fundamental project our student had developed by their own. They have not taken any help. Whatever they have learned in their engineering course curriculum, with help of that particular fundamental understanding, they have developed a prototype and they have implemented this. So if you see the third diagram is nothing but a pick and place type of device with help of pneumatic system controlled through PLC. So you can understand how complex is the, whenever you want to develop any real-time system, how complex is how, what are the complexity, how to resolve that, how to explore more in that. So with help of all these fundamental theoretical understanding as well as university laboratory resources, you can develop any type of robot, any type of system what you have thought in your mind during your course, during your childhood. So everything you can develop at our laboratory resources. And now we are moving to our last slide, which is nothing but career opportunities. As I said, uh, as I said, ultimately we are learning engineering, we are learning fundamental of different engineering courses. So where we are going to place, what is our career opportunities? So remember in the first third fourth slide onward, what I told you, various industries like electronics industry, automobile industry, manufacturing industry, oil and gas industry, mining industry, transport, defense, robotics. So almost everywhere you can explore. You will get an opportunity to work in that. And we even all the remember, these are not only the probable areas, various other emerging areas is also there. Because of some frame constraint, timing constraint, I cannot explain all those things. And with this I'm binding, or I'm closing my presentation. Now you can ask question. You can ask question, anyone. So I got one question from Monica Thakur. Tell me, she asked, tell me more about robotics. Remember, robotics is one of the subdomain of mechatronics engineering. If I am talking about only robotics, robotics is used almost in everywhere. If I'm talking about space technology, if I'm talking about industrial automation field, so everywhere we require a automotive type of vehicle. And if that automotive vehicle are there, or some self driven vehicle are there, so ultimately if I want to build all those things, we require some fundamental of robotics. We require some fundamental engineering principle, and with help of all those fundamental principle we can build more, or we can build any type of robot. Remember, whatever robots you have seen in your childhood, that is very basic. What you have developed with help of some four wheels you have developed, and with help of some H bridge circuit, or with help of some proper DPDT switches, you are moving that particular robot either to the forward or to the backward. I'm not talking about in that. I'm not talking with respect to all those things. Whenever you are developing a high end robot for a particular application, that time you must know some fundamental maybe some, you must know what is image processing happening there, what is machine vision system, what are different sensors we are going to require, that what are the different actuator, how fast is the actuator. So all these fundamentals is required whenever you are building a high end robot. So that gives the clear information about robotics. Now somebody asked its scope in automobile industry. I guess Parth Giridhar has asked like what is the scope in automobile industry. Remember, if I am talking about university point of view, I will say one more information. Somebody asked about placement and all. Remember, placement, we have a career service team who will deal all those things. But as a professor, I can give some information. Recently, there is a company called KPIT. KPIT is giant in software development. He is giant in service provider to the automobile industry. And I'm proudly I can say that 11 of our mechatronics student got placed in that. So that is the placement statistics. But if I'm talking about automobile industry, remember, whatever features you are seeing in automobile, like power window, wiper control, engine control, everything nowadays are controlled through ECU. ECU is nothing but electronic control unit, which is available back to the steering. जहाँ पे आप steering drive करते हैं, back of that you will find that. So that is one of the probable area. Somewhere in some of the vehicle you will find at some other location also. So every vehicle nowadays are equipped with ECU. ECU is nothing but electronic control unit. Electronic control unit is nothing but a microcontroller or development board, what we have seen in engineering tools. So in engineering tools, we have seen a development board, and that type of high-end development board we are using for ECU. And ultimately, that particular ECU either control some power window, either control some wiper motor control, either it will control your engine part. So various applications are there in industrial, in automotive industry. I guess one person, Bhavab Bhardwaj, he asked name some industry who gave mechatronics engineering, who hire mechatronics engineering. Remember, I can say that our university having a collaboration with company called Rexroth, Bosch Rexroth. So our play student got internship as well as placement in Rexroth, and if you Google it, you will find Rexroth is giant in automotive side. They have a very good robotics field. They have a very good automation field. They have very good controller called PLC. So we have a very good, like so many companies are there. There is a company called Vertex. Here our student got placed in Vertex, and if you see that Vertex website, they are one of the pioneer in Indian environment. They are the pioneer in developing different uh, system, robots, machines, and all. I guess majority of the question are from career and all. Remember, career related. Here we have a placement unit, and they will guide you in much better way. Since I don't have a full statistics of career related information, so I cannot comment in that. But remember, our majority of our student got placed in domain specific companies like Vertex, KPIT, Pari. There is a company called Pari who is very good in PLC based control system, who is very good in automation industry, very good towards food and beverage. He is giving support to food and beverages industry for making automated machineries and all. So our student got placed in all those companies. There is a student Akshit Kumar, he asked how it is useful in defense system. Remember, if you have seen a vehicle called Tatra, recently, I mean, around 2 3 years back, Indian government has banned for procurement process. I am talking about that particular vehicle. That if I am talking about that Tatra trucks and all, which is used in defense application, remember that is a very high end vehicle. That vehicle having various stable mechanical system, and ultimately those mechanical system nowadays are controlled through various controller to give more efficiency, to give more comfort to the user. And in that way I'm talking about defense industry. That is, that example is related to Tatra, but if I'm talking about overall of defense industry, remember, defense, whatever devices you are seeing in defense nowadays, say one example, nowadays at border area we are using high end cameras, high end infrared sensor. We'll place all those devices, and from control room we watch that. So whenever I'm talking about modern scenario, we are moving towards technology side. Remember, defense is nowadays also moving very fastly towards electronics, towards technology side. I should not say electronics, I should say technology. They are adopting high end technology for their comfort, for their application, and for them different application, not related with some automobile industry, not related with some space related industry, except they have some different constraint. And accordingly, if technology helps in that, that will serve our purpose. So in that way, defense is also very good. A defense related field is also one of the probable domain where you can work in that type of industry and in that type of area. There is a student called Kosik. He asked programming related. His concern is regarding uh, programming related information. Remember, whenever I am talking about electronics industry, mechatronics industry, or mechatronics engineering, as well as electronics engineering, remember, see, programming broadly, I can say programming. I can define as some different level. There is a level called high level. There is a level called low level. There is a level called mid level. Remember, we are doing programming with respect of controlling any machine. We are not doing programming related to Java, C++ and all. Remember, C++ is the fundamental we require either in electronics as well as mechatronics, but in a different form. There is a programming language called embedded C. Whenever I want to do a programming for a microcontroller, our one of the best answer for this is embedded C. We have another option called assembly language, that is also programming language. So our course mechatronics electronics deals with all these type of languages rather than Java and all. Any more question? Since time is only 1 hour, so anything else you want to discuss? I guess since so many questions, students are asking so many questions, so some of them I have not answered because it is moving very fast. So still you can ask. We have some 1 or 2 minutes. If you have concern, some related to understanding and all, definitely will guide you. Okay, I got a question from Avinav Srivastav. He asked, why to opt mechatronics if I can opt right away aerospace engineering? Remember, aerospace is one industry. Similarly, we have hundreds of verticals. Hundreds of verticals in the sense we have verticals called consumer electronics, we have verticals called engineering tools, we have verticals called industrial automation, we have verticals called sports industry. So if I'm choosing a course called mechatronics, I'm eligible to go in all those fields. But if I'm choosing a course called aerospace or avionics, remember, aerospace and avionics is one of the fruitful course, but it is restricted to that. If I'm opting for that particular course, I will explore each and every fundamental of aerospace and avionics related concept. But if I'm choosing for a mechatronics, remember, our we have a course which will which will give you more flexibility, which will give you more freedom for choosing a different industry, for choosing for a different industry. Okay, I guess I got a question from Monica Thakur. Uh, she's saying uh, how to build such type of robot or robotics or some DRDO. Remember, Monica, see, if you have seen that Iron Man or Aviator and all, remember, they are a very high end, they have used a very high end technology for a product development. Remember, for developing such a product, what you require is, first you require a basic understanding for different courses, basic understanding for for selecting a various actuator, and if you have understood all those things, then you can build that type of devices, that type of system. Remember, if I'm talking about those Iron Man type of robot and all, remember, it require years to develop all those things, years required to build that type of robot. Now if I'm talking about course called mechatronics engineering, in mechatronics engineering will teach you fundamentals, will teach you all those accessory related, all those accessory which is required to build any robot. But to that extent we require so much iteration in the sense, whenever you will build, as I have shown you in one of the slide, if you are building a pick and place unit, that itself is a complex thing, you require at least 2-3 months to develop for a student point of view. But if you want to develop such a big system, you require years to work, and that too as a fresh mind in the sense, to the beginner or to the student level, almost it is something like tedious task. If you are doing in that particular way, what you will do, you will hamper your academic related constraint. Academics related constraint is nothing but our course, our project, our comprehensive viva. So you will miss all those things if your entire intention is to develop a system. But what we understood with this is, we can develop a system for developing that type of a dedicated robot, require some fundamental, or as a course will build all those fundamental to you. Now it's you, or it's up to you how you are building that, how you are understanding in that way. I guess I got a question from email id hd201197. He asked, what is difference between mechanical engineering and mechatronics engineering? Remember, student, mechanical engineering is a conventional engineering course which is running from last 40-50 years. But if I'm talking about mechatronics, remember, as I have given so much information, if I'm talking about braking system, earlier days also braking system is there in almost all vehicle. But there is a problem called skidding. How mechatronics helped? We have installed some sensors, we have installed some actuator, and with help of some controller, we have controlled that. So I can correlate any mechanical device or any mechanical system if we want to improve the efficiency, if we want to improve the performance, you require help from some other domain. Other domain is either electronics or computer science. And mechatronics gives flavor to electronics engineering, computer science engineering, as well as hardcore mechanical engineering. So it is a combination of that. I guess number of seats related question. I guess enrollment people will give you more appropriate answer for this particular question. Any other question? Any other question?
Hmm.
So thank you for your any other question?